know, right now we don't really have customer service.
Yeah. Very
I
true.
think right now, just offering customer service, call your
Yes.
customers,
Yes.
thank them for being customers. It is easier to keep a customer than to find a customer.
Yeah.
Find out how much it costs you to obtain your customers.
Yep.
People don't know this between
Yeah.
your marketing and everything else.
Hello, everyone, and welcome again to Leaders Uncut. It's so great to have you here again today. And if it's your first time, welcome. And today it is such a pleasure for me, such an incredible honor to have with us Marcella Villarreal, who is the CEO of SalesIGNITION Consulting. Hello, Marcella. How are you doing today?
Good. I love talking to you.
Yeah, me too. So,
I'm looking forward.
you have such an incredible career with global giants like Microsoft, Expedia, Oracle, SAP. And you know, my God, that's just so incredible what you have achieved. Now, what inspired you to step out and start SalesIGNITION Consulting?
Oh, you know, it was a couple of things. I wanted to put my passion of sales and my passion of people together. And I thought, how can I do this? I've done the corporate thing and I felt like I couldn't rah-rah anymore, you know, and in sales you need to rah-rah. And what's better than rah-rahing for yourself, right? I mean, I'm in my 50s. I toot my own horn. You just mentioned some big software giants. Do you know how hard that was, not only as a female, but as a Latino?
Mm.
My Microsoft years, I was the only Latino in town. And
Yeah.
so I had to deal with, you know, going into the restroom and being asked if I can get toilet paper for one of the stalls while I was in a wool pinstripe suit, you know, in the Columbia Tower. So, and I've worked with, you know, in 95% male dominated conference rooms.
Yeah.
You know, presenting as a female Latino to a CEO is difficult. So I'm tooting my own horn right now. And I think women need to do that more on our incredible journeys because our bar is set low.
Yeah.
For me to get where I had to go, and uneducated, by the way. And I say that as someone who's self-educated herself. It is quite a feat. It is quite a feat to stand in a corporate room of suits, white suits with white men on the wall, and be the only female, and then have to prove yourself over and over and over again. And it's one of the reasons that I say you could never insult me. Yeah. I've heard it all.
Yeah, that's true. But
you know what I mean? I have heard it all. I have dragged men into conference rooms and gotten in their face and had it out. You know, I've run upstairs and said, "You're not going to steal that account from me." You know? So I've done it all. And now I really want to make change. I want to drive revenue for myself. I want to drive revenue for the companies that I work with. And I want to have that hands-on, you know, just helping and just making sure that these small businesses don't go out of business because they didn't know how to sell it, or they didn't know how to speak to it, or they didn't know how to negotiate a price, or they didn't know how to show the value to where their customers didn't argue over price, right? Because if we see the value, we don't mind the price. So I had a friend who was at a startup, and she called me concerned, and she said, you know, I was in the meeting, we're talking about startup funds, and one of the owners jumped up and said, I can do sales with no sales experience. Fast forward 11 months, lay off 95% of people. They could have gotten someone experienced, or they could have gone the cheap way and just hired someone and put the company on their back and expect them to move mountains and make miracles happen. So this poor person didn't know. They were overwhelmed. They gave things away, and 95% of the company laid off, and then they turned around and changed total direction, and I don't know where they're at now. So I thought, well, if I can help that, And we can go through a sales strategy and we can talk about negotiation and your product and where we need to be, then we can help that revenue. But what I'm finding, which is so scary to me, is that they're not thinking about the revenue until they have to.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're forgetting there's a ramp up.
Yeah, yeah. And it's interesting what you're saying, because you think as a sales professional that who has a lot of experience behind you, we often believe or think that everybody understands everything you know, but it is far from the case. And this is why you see so many errors. So, I mean, Ignite is clearly a theme in your work, and you have that personality too. You are full of energy and drive, and that combined with your experience, it's a really big winning combination here. What does it mean to you? You know, what does Ignite mean to you in the context of sales transformation?
Yeah, it's so many things. One of the things I'm finding, I just did a webinar at the SBCD, the Small Business Association Career Development Center. Mm-hmm. They've never had anyone in sales. They provide all these amazing classes, your local small business association. Couldn't find one in sales. So then I had the job of positioning them. And, you know, I volunteered with the Small Business Association. I'm now contracting with the Small Business Career Development Center, who also didn't have any sales. But I'm running into people are afraid of sales. We all have the used car salesman thing in our head. Unfortunately, there are a lot of shit salespeople out there. I've worked with them. I've gone up against them. I am the worst person to cold call. Let's just say that. I don't like that. I have my own experience of being 19 and having to buy a car and the sales guy running at me. And I still don't like to go in car lots. And, you know, just ridiculing and just, I remember him telling us we were young and we didn't know what we were doing and we had to do this and just being traumatized. That's not what I want. I want people to feel like sales is really a relationship. It's you, like you and I. Look how we got together. And I say get together because everything is a relationship. We have mutual interests. We like each other. You know, we're seeing how we can help each other. That is all sales.
Yeah, it is.
So these business owners have this passion, and I know, and you know, it takes blood, sweat, and tears. And they start these businesses. And they deserve to get that revenue. They just need to know how to pivot from that owner mindset of whatever their product or service is and switch it over to networking, right? And one of the things I found with some of the business owners is I go around the room and I introduce myself, and I do it for a couple of reasons. And I say, what do you do? And I can never get a clear, concise statement.
Yeah.
So that's one of the first things is we call it credentializing. You could say mission or purpose, but it's, you know, I am Marcella Villarreal. I am the CEO of SalesIGNITION Consulting and Training, and I help CEOs drive revenue for long-term success. Boom. Says who I am, says what my mission, says what I want to accomplish. So that's what I've been trying to do is help with the mindset, help them with that passion towards sales, whether it's their vendors, networking, people that we meet. It's all important, and it's all sales. Everything is sales. And I know people don't want to believe that, but it's true. It's how we connect.
It is true, but you're right. It's a mindset, but it's also a process. And nowadays we are forced to change both of those two critical elements because we are now into the AI-driven sales enablement.
Yes.
So let's talk about that. You have integrated AI into your consulting model, right? So can you share how AI is really changing the way small businesses have to approach sales?
So 85% of companies know that they need AI, right? It's here. It's not going anywhere. It's dynamic, takes a lot of energy. It's a lot. What does that mean, right? AI. Only 35% of companies are embracing it, looking at it, starting to, you know, go there. That huge disparity is what I'm fighting with. We all know productivity-wise, it can save you 2.5 hours plus a day. For a salesperson, it can help your outreach immensely. So we have saturation marketing, right? We have people, and I've talked to them, who are still, doing these mass outbound crap emails, and I'm sorry they are, that aren't personalized, that are just mass sent with 5 paragraphs. Stop doing this, people, of how great you are and what your product is. It's dynamic, it's robust. No one gives a shit. No one gives a shit. They don't know you. They don't care about your bells and whistles and how great you are. And that's what salespeople do wrong, is they spit all their crap onto people who didn't ask for it, don't know what it is, and don't need it. We have to be more concerted in our communication with each other, right? Our customers now are way overeducated. They have all the information. So before, when we can be a knowledge worker, and a great example of this, and you're international, so this might, I don't know if this will reach you, but we had Sears Roebuck was a store. When you needed appliances, you walked into Sears. Those guys know everything. They know Maytag. They'll tell you what comes in, right? They are knowledge workers. They are experts. I don't know washer and dryers, don't claim to, don't want to. Well, we don't have that anymore. Now, when you walk in to buy a product like Samsung, you know everything. You've looked at the reviews. So you have to match that energy of being your own knowledge worker as a small business owner. That should be pretty clear, because you know your business, you built it, you put so much into it. So, that whole information thing has changed. Productivity, outreach wise, now instead of saturation marketing and sending it out there and getting blocked. Also, I find small business owners think any return on those outbound emails is a lead. No, it's just a return. Whether it's a reply or a stop or I don't need, that's not a lead. A lead is where you have a common interest on both sides and want to move forward with either, the product or the service. That's a true lead. Someone who's buying, someone who has a need. So right away we have the language barrier. So it's tough. I'll talk to a CEO who's freaked out saying, I'm doing outbound marketing and I was getting 150 leads a week. And now I'm getting, no, you weren't getting 150 leads a week. You were getting return on your outbound, unpersonalized emails that you just blast out there. You don't know who's blocking you, right? And they're not going to the CEO, they're going to the admin. And she's blocking you and deleting you. Because your subject line can't be so compelling to where they get 300 emails a day and they want, you know what I mean? It's just the trickery, foolery of that I don't like. So now with AI and the partner that I brought on is we can make more of a concerted effort, more of a customized approach. We're in the same communities. We're driving towards the same thing, which is why I tell business owners, know your industry. Don't boil the ocean. Yes, you can help everybody.
Is your marketing making an impact? Are you reaching the right audience? Is your messaging truly connecting? Are you maximizing your return on investment? At Slice Marketing, we use AI-powered insights to fine-tune your targeting, optimize your messaging, design high-converting websites, and craft content that inspires, entertains, and educates, or to amplify your brand's impact. Sometimes a small adjustment can create big results. Let's chat, no strings attached. Email us at catherine.oaks@slicemarketing.com or visit our website.
Find an industry, find where you fit, which is finding your ideal customer, IDC as we say it. And then you know that industry, you know your competitor, you know the challenges that your customers are going to have, so you can speak to them. So now you're knowledge to knowledge, right? Now when we speak, it's a very direct, concerted effort because we have the same interests. So it's easier to move forward when we're talking the same language over the same challenges in the same areas, right?
You have to be, that's what I always say is we have in the world of AI, we have to emphasize the human connections even more. So it's not B2B, it's not B2C, it's H2H, it's human to human.
It's human. I mean, we just had the millennials come into the workforce And we started human capital management, HCM. I was the first HCM group at Oracle, right? We had 8 weeks of learning about millennials and seeing humans as capital management. That's all human. So yes, AI is here, to wrap it up in a nutshell. What we say with my AI partner, Proactive BDA, is, can AI do it? Yes. It can do amounts of amazing things. Should it? No. There's a point. So we get our customers up to a warm lead, and then we say, this is where you come in. This is where you need to be human to human and have that conversation on, do we have the same mutual interests? We have a saying, it's not, hi, will you marry me? Right? No one wants stage 5 clinger, hi, will you marry me? It's, hey, nice to meet you.
It's a conversation. Like I always say, you cannot ask someone to marry you the next day you meet them. It doesn't work. But yet you see most salespeople, more marketing people do just that. So engage, ask questions, because what people want you to do is solve their problems. Like you said, we don't care who you are. If you've been in business 25 years, it doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter. It does matter, but at first it doesn't matter. So you really have to show them that, first of all, you care. And second of all, you're going to help them fix their challenges or improve whatever. Yeah, that's the message.
It's a friendship. It really is. It's a friendship, having the same goal for each other. I loved my customers. I did. Some of them were challenging, but they knew that I cared. They knew that I was honest, and I always upfront. And here's one of my tips for anyone who's listening, especially as a female, is I'm very direct, and I always say, listen, Catherine, I'm going to do my best to help you. But along the line, if I find that I can't do the things that you need, I will have full transparency. I will always be honest with you and try and help you as much as I can. And I ask the same in return. Right. And men would love this. They would, so as we would go along, some of my big accounts, Susan G. Komen, National Wildlife, where it came down to the end and it was like, okay, what's going on? And they'd say, well, that's where you don't want to get ghosted. That's where you want to have that type of a relationship where your prospect says, Marcella, your competitor's calling me. And then instead of being a jerk and saying, well, they suck, you say, okay, well, here's what I want you to ask them. Because I understand my competitor's shortcomings, I can direct them in a positive way to say, okay, well, when you speak to them, ask them about this, ask them that. You know what I mean? So I can help them navigate back to me. But because we have such a mutual understanding and connection, and they trust that I'm doing the best. It's all about trust.
That's what I was going to tell you. That's the magic word, is trust. You have to establish trust, and it's not done overnight. No. So be reasonable in your expectations.
Yes.
Building a relationship takes time. It's not going to happen in a week.
It's all about honesty. Every relationship is about honesty. And I would see that with salespeople, and where that happens is like with software. In the 3rd revision we'll have that great feature. Well, you can't do that to customers, right? Unless you get an engineer on the phone that says, yes, next December 2026 we will have that. That's just fairy dust, and it's unfair to do, right? So I see sales one way, in this positive, really wonderful way. That's how I want it to be. But I know the reality sometimes. I've worked with and I have stories.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you
have. But it also made me a better salesperson. It also lit the fire under my butt. And I can't tell you, there's nothing better than beating some jerk sales guy over and over again. There's just no feeling like it.
I know, I'm sure it's very rewarding, right? So what are the major challenges that you see small businesses facing today and in the future? Because we are thrown so many new technologies, which really forces us to to think differently, to develop a different perspective. So what's the future of the sales teams and people who tell you, oh my God, Marcella, I can do it myself as a CEO, even
Yeah. Oh,
right?
I just had a CEO last week, and we've had dinner, we've hung out, and he said, I have 700 emails. And he's at this transition where he's done all the sales. He now has great work, has a big deal that just came in that can lead to all these other universities that he's helping, but he doesn't want to give up control. 700 emails means that's revenue. That is so much revenue I can't even think about. In sales, you have a window of opportunity that is so small, because that person wanted to spend money that day, but maybe next week a problem happens. Or something else, or something shiny, right? We all do that. I have ADHD. That's something we've talked about. So it's, it's really thinking about revenue on a daily basis, thinking about it before anything else. Your ramp up could be 6 months plus, depending on what service or product you're selling. So what I'm finding is they're throwing money into marketing, which marketing is essential. You know this better than anyone, but you can pretty it up and pretty it up and pretty it up, and then not want to face sales, which is what I'm finding. You have to face sales. Network. Know your industry, be in your industry. Small Business Association has expos all over right now. They're all starting in the next 6 months. You don't have to have a booth. Go around, shake hands, talk to people, talk to your competitor. If your competitor is offering 3 months free or whatever, and you're expecting this big upfront deposit, you're not going to, you know what I mean? You have to see it from beginning to end and know what your strategy is going to be. Offer something different. Say why you're in business, especially small businesses. I've heard some of the most passionate stories where I'm like, I want to buy from that story. We have a local drive-through Mexican restaurant here that I have heard about in this town forever. But I saw a commercial and the guy sounded Australian. So I was like, I don't understand. Is it Mexican or is it what? So I finally decided to go through there, and I talked to everybody. So I'm at the drive-thru and I'm like, hi, I've never been through here, but I hear it. And the guy goes, I'm the owner. I'm like, you are the owner taking my order. I said, so I have a question for you, because this is who I am. Are you Mexican? And he goes, what do you mean? He goes, I am 3rd generation. This is the first Mexican drive-thru in California. And I said, so you're not Australian? He goes, why do you think I'm Australian? So I tell him. And he goes, I never thought about that. And I said, you just told me the most compelling thing. You're 3rd generation. Your family is in the restaurant business. You're the first drive-through, we're not talking Taco Bell, we're talking real Mexican. You know what I mean? Like, and your passion, you're right here taking my order. Like, why don't I feel this? Why am I not getting this?
But most people do not do that because, first of all, we're not guided to do that. That's the problem. And you're right, Marcella. Storytelling is the best gift right now. And there are many ways to tell a story. Video is
I want to know that. Right? I want to know that your passion is so deep that you were on the drive-through microphone or whatever you call it, taking orders. I want to know your 3rd generation. I want to know that you were the first Mexican restaurant drive-through. That's, especially in my area, we have so many. The last thing we need is another Mexican restaurant. So if you're opening a Mexican restaurant and it's abuelita's, special recipe, then tell me that. And that's another thing we don't do. Broadcast, network, talk to people, treat your suppliers like your customer. That is another thing. Everyone is your customer, internal, external. I've seen salespeople, and I've laughed at them, shoot themselves in the foot internally, treating accounts payable like shit, treating, other implementation, other people like crap, and then they need something and they're over there, well, I'm the reason there's revenue. It doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work. And I think we're going to be forced, or people who act this way are going to be forced to change anyway, because you have to be respectful. You have to be kind. You have to lend a hand, because eventually it will come back to you in a negative way if you don't.
What you give out, you get, and you
Yes.
do. And people know that. People know what businesses care, what businesses don't.
Yeah.
And, right now we don't really have customer service.
Yeah.
I think right now, just offering customer service, call your customers, thank them for being customers. It is easier to keep a customer than to find a customer. Find out how much it costs you to obtain your customers. People don't know this between your marketing and everything else, right? Keep them. And I did this on a webinar I just had with the Small Business Association Career Development. They've never had any revenue driving, and I'm still trying to help them because they're behind on revenue right now. And I'm like, put me in, coach, put me in. They're just not putting their heads around how important revenue is and knowing it and driving it. And I gave them an example. I said, I worked at a company, one of the first CRM, and we had a $250,000 budgets with flowers.com, and we sent out bouquets. We each gave our top 15, and you should know your top 15 customer, who you want to go after, your ideal customer, and we sent them to them. On the other hand, when I was at Microsoft, I bought a box for $8 of thank you cards. And each time I talked to a prospect where I had a really good conversation, I just sent them a thank you. I didn't ask for anything. I just said, Catherine, I enjoyed our conversation. I shared a little bit, and I mailed them out. Which one do you think got the most? The $8? Well, okay, let's just say 15 with tax, with stamps. 250.
Yeah, no, I know. You're right.
They liked the bouquet. The men felt a little uncomfortable, and I got used to saying, hey, give it to your admin or bring it home to your wife. Take off the card first. Don't be a jackass. I got more off of the cards. More because it was a personalized.
That's exactly what it is. And nowadays, actually, it's a great marketing technique because most people don't do it. So send out handwritten notes because it will be noticed, right?
Show some personality. I had to, one of the companies I worked for had us go out solicit and walk office buildings. I personally don't like that. Don't solicit front of my house. If you're giving me a religious offering, you're not going to want to. You'll leave running, so don't. But I was thinking, okay, they want me to. I actually have a sign that says, you wake our daughter, I'll bury you in the backyard. And me and a church guy had a really interesting conversation about that. But, I'm not a big fan of it. So I was like, okay, I have to do it. What should I do? So I had my thank you cards, right? I wasn't going to leave a bunch of brochures that no one's going to look at. They're just going to toss. I thought, I think outside the box is my point. So I bought some cute little thank you cards, but I went into the smoke shop and bought some scratch offs for $1. I bought 15 or 20 bucks, right? And I just put in the card, I'm taking a chance on you. Maybe you'll take a chance on me.
I love it.
With my business card. That was it. I got more calls over that damn dollar scratch off than anything else. And I think one won $5, one won something little, but they were so excited after that.
I love it. I love it. That's a great idea. But that's how you have to do it.
Because if you're going to bug someone's time, make it worth it. Talk to the receptionist. See how she's doing. And I was a receptionist back in the day, and that's one of the stories that I told you before. I know that everybody comes in, and receptionists are going to go, oh my God, yes. People come in the lobby and dump on the receptionist. The stories I heard as a receptionist.
Yeah, I know.
The people coming in and the stories, you know what I mean? They are there. So have a kind word. And again,
be nice, be friendly, but be interested in them, and don't, because I see that all the time. It's always presenting themselves. The very often the CEOs, I'm the best. My products are the best, and who cares? What can you do for me? That's the question they have to answer.
No, you touched on something. Salespeople do this. This happened to my husband. We have a VA loan on our house. and some guy called, and we have such a good percentage rate. Don't call us, right? Because percentage rates are shit. So my husband's looking at me, and this guy, I'm the best, and I did this for this client. He hands it to me, and I'm like, hey. And finally, I yelled into the phone, and I said, shut up. It's not about you. Yeah. It should be about me. Yeah. Like I said, I'm the worst person to cold call.
But ask questions. Ask questions, right? That's what you have to do.
Why? And this is what salespeople do. They call and go, hi, how many people in your company? How many computers do you have? What? Yeah. Okay, so you just took a survey. Yeah. You were rude. And this happened at Oracle, actually, with this manager that I didn't like. And luckily, my team had been sitting there. And the guy in the next row on a different team, and she was standing there, and she's like, get the information. And he's telling this woman, oh, I know you have to go. And she's pleading with him. I have to go to a meeting. Well, I just have a couple questions, right? I can interrupt your day with my questions. I'm not listening to you. I'm not giving a shit about your time. I'm not considerate. So he berated her and asked these questions, hung up, and the manager said, good job. You got it. And I grabbed my team and said, we went in a conference room, and I said, don't ever pull this shit. What did we just witness? And they all got it. How rude, how inconsiderate. Yeah, you got information that you're never going to use, because that person will call anybody but you.
But you're right. But then again, we always come back to training, because I think most salespeople don't have the right training.
No,
they don't.
No. Well, worse than that. And I did a post on this, and I think it went over everyone's head. I have over 20 years. I've been taught in over 10 sales methodologies. I've always had sales managers. I've never had a sales coach. There is a difference. Sales manager knows when you come in the morning, looks at your pipeline, knows you're taking vacation. A sales coach is going to come in and say, okay, Marcella, I'm looking at your pipeline. Right here is where you drop off. Where is the issue? And I just had this on my CEO training that I paid a lot of money for, and I'm not going to mention it. It was great for 6 weeks, and the sales portion was bullshit. And I think it's why they took me off of their list, was because everybody was going into the breakout rooms requesting me, and I was helping them. And where these CEO, brilliant, amazing women were stuck was asking for money. And and I know as females, we're raised sugar and spice and everything nice, which I'm the opposite. I can be. Let me rephrase that. I am the nicest person. I'll give you the shirt off my back. I carried money in my wallet for the homeless because I can't help myself. But I will negotiate my value. And this is where the women had issues, was they would get to a certain point, and sometimes we see that in a pipeline, and then it comes value and money, and then they worry about how much they're expecting.
That's very true.
And that's where women have to show their value and be able to put it on the table. And negotiation 101 is whoever speaks next. Here is what I want. And I just made this mistake. I'm not perfect with the CEO with the 700 emails. I carried him way too long. And you know who told me that? My chat GPT sales coach, Jamie, because we're now on a whole nother level. And she told me that that's what I was doing. And I had to reflect and go, you know what? She's right. I care so much, and not to sound, and I don't mean that to sound self-righteous, but I give a lot. And then I get to a point, and I should have done it sooner. You have to have that money talk sooner than later. I now am very direct. Do you need my help? Are you willing to pay for it?
No, you have to. Otherwise, people are going to they will take.
And you know what I tell women, and you know what I've told my daughters in the past when they've gone for things? A man would. Women have a much harder time. He wouldn't, and he would fake it till he made it and still expect that money.
You're right. And this is why I always tell my daughter, think like a man.
Think like a man. And I hate that saying, because it should be think like a person. Just like I hate when someone goes, you throw like a girl. My daughter, who's now on a softball team at 38 who's a rock star, and she was a air traffic controller in the Navy. She's a little badass. She was a sidewinder thrower. She can throw from the outfield to plate. So there is no throw like a girl.
Yeah.
You know, I hate that. So I do see a gap there when it comes to, so that's where a coach comes along. When you look at a pipeline, where are we having issues? With my AI partner, it's one of the problems we have is we get all this outreach, you know, for your ideal customer, and then we move them to a point of a calendar invite of collaboration of getting on the phone, and it drops off. They want leads, they want closing. The in between is where we need to, you know, find out that spot that we can. That where do we need help? Where is it? I just had to do it. I had to self-reflect on my, you know.
Yeah, but that's what AI forces you to do. This is why I love AI. This is the thing. It's a tool, just like the internet, just like your computer. It's a tool. So you have to learn to use that tool properly, but you have to also learn to use the right tool because there's so many options. Right.
And I went down a rabbit hole till 4 a.m. the other morning on TikTok with all these AI people. I found gamma.com where I can build a PowerPoint like that.
Yeah.
I found all these things and I have to piece them together. Okay, so for this, I need this. For this productivity tool, okay, I can use this. Which one charges, which one doesn't?
You have to know.
Yeah, and it's all productivity. Is it replacing you? No. Is it helping your productivity? Yes.
Yeah, and that's what I always say. The people that are going to make it will be the people that know how to utilize new technology, just like it was for the internet. It's exactly the same type of implementation. It's not disappearing from the earth or from the world of business. It's becoming smarter and it's becoming wiser and it's becoming more organized, which in turn is going to allow us humans to have more time to actually live and not just work all the time.
Well, and you know, if you're in technology, you have to embrace this. And that's why I brought on a partner. I was thinking, okay, I preach technology. What am I doing? I thought I was behind. I'm actually ahead.
Yeah.
Come to find out.
Yeah.
But we have to. You're going to be left behind. It's like the brick and mortar companies who didn't want to bring on more training and development for the millennials. Well, sorry, you're going to have training and development. They have 6 careers, not jobs, in their lifetime. They expect development, succession planning, all of that. Succession planning is big. So yes, AI will help with training. I know out there, a lot of people have gotten rid of their instructional designers because they think AI is going to replace that. It's not going to replace that. Can you build training quicker with AI? Yes. AI was built on research. A lot of people don't realize that. It was a really good research tool. When they opened it up to the community and said, what do you think? 4 million people signed up within 3 days.
See?
That took Yahoo and other big giants months to get 4 million in a couple of days. So we know it's big. We have to embrace it.
And we have to embrace it.
And just know where to embrace it. Don't boil an ocean on it. You know, start with ChatGPT. Start with, you know, Copilot. I went into Janus, JANUS, the other day. Now that research tool is deep and it gave a lot. For my ADHD, I need very direct.
I know.
That's probably why I'm so direct, you know.
But that helps too, because people trust that. And I think also, especially men, but everybody trusts that. When you're direct, you know that there's no fluff and there's no faking. I mean, you are yourself. And that's, I think it's a critical trait nowadays.
Well, and it's tough though, because when I hear tell me the truth, I find people don't always want the truth. I can't BS. I can't be phony. If you ask me, I'm going to tell you.
And that's okay. And it may not fit everyone, and everyone is not a good fit. So that's okay. But I think being authentic nowadays is critical. I don't think we have a choice because people see through the BS and they don't want the BS anymore. So you have no choice being authentic. So you have to find ways to communicate your authenticity as best as possible. That's the key. Is that So anyway, Marcella, so we can talk about this for hours, but Question I have for you: what would be the best piece of advice that you would have to give someone as far as sales advice is concerned, or sales the magic? What would that be?
Be authentic.
Yeah, okay.
Be real. Yeah. Make it about, I heard this on a LinkedIn training a couple months ago, and I thought, what I do is about me, but it's for you. Mm. And we just talked about it when, that sales call. Well, you know what I did for a customer, and I who cares? Shut the fuck up. Excuse my language, but you know what I mean? Like, you should be asking about me. Hi. Yeah. Do you have them? Respect their time. One of the things salespeople do is you mirror what you hear when you call, right? And so Microsoft was one of these. We'd have to role play. So it'd be like, ring, ring. And they'd say, well, one of the people they had there, she was from World War II. She had a glass eye. She was no joke. Microsoft went and pillaged this lady. She had her own successful little recruiting company, and they were so impressed that they picked her up and brought her in to help sales. So I sat at a table with 5 other guys, and they looked scared, and she'd go ring, ring, and you'd have this whole dialogue. And there was a reason. She said, ring, ring, to one of the guys. And, he said, hi, I'm so-and-so for Microsoft. And she goes, what do you want? My husband just died. Oh. And he went, and he gave his sales spit, oh, well, I'm da-da-da-da. And she ripped him a new one.
Of course.
You didn't hear what I just said.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is where and I've had this happen. I had a prospect who lost her only son. And I called in, and she interrupted me and said, I just lost my son last night. And I said, I will let you go. And I apologize. And I sent flowers. I sent a card. I let her come to me. You have to be a person before you're anything else. We later became friends, connected. Yeah. But I told her, I don't want to talk about any of that. Yeah. That's not important. None of what I have to say is important.
But that's true. But see, most people don't listen, though. They don't listen. No. Yeah.
No. And so when they did the ring, ring, my husband just died, or sometimes as a salesperson, you'll call up and you'll get what? Yeah. Okay, shut up. Yeah. This is where you go, you know what? I'm sorry. I obviously caught you at a wrong. It's being human.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's being human, but
your spiel isn't going to help whatever they're going through.
No.
And it's knowing. So if you're talking to a CEO, he's looking at his business, right? He's talking bottom line. If I'm talking to a purchasing person, it's about budget, right? If I'm talking, so you have to know who you're calling into and what they need. Yeah. So your call is beneficial, because if you call and piss them off, they're going to block your number. They're never going to want.
It's preparation, but it's understanding, and it's having the right
understanding and know why you're calling. Research. We have so much information before you call. Yes. Don't ask them stupid questions like, "What does your company do? Yeah. What do you do?" So you called me to interrogate me?
Yeah, yeah.
If I said, "You know what, Catherine? I love your industry. I love your experience. I noticed that you just did this. Do you have 5 minutes? I'd love to learn more."
Yeah, that's what it
right?
is.
It's about you. So now wow, this caller knows who I am. They know what I do. They took the time and consideration. And I'm not trying to sell you. I'm not, hi, will you marry me? Yeah. You're not going to sell in the first call. Statistics show it's usually 7 phone calls, 7. Yes, but guess what? The salesperson tries up to twice.
And they give up after twice. I mean, you're right. You're right. They give up.
So send a nice email. Yeah. If that guy said, I'm a Yankees fan, I got to go, I can't miss the game, and you see a cool article on the Yankees, hey, Bob, no need to respond.
Yeah.
That's a good one. No need to respond. In other words, I'm not asking for shit. I saw this, thought of you, and I'm an A's fan, but what are you doing?
But my God, you just gave such great tools here, what to say, how to say it. And these are very powerful tools that most people do not know how to utilize. Just for that, but just for that, this is where you realize, oh my God, the value of someone like you as a sales coach, because sometimes just getting this type of directional tips that change the outcomes. It can really create a 360 turnaround in your outcomes, but you never thought of them. So anyway, Marcella, we could talk about this for hours. It's so fascinating. But if someone wants to get hold of you, what's the best way to do it?
Yeah, well, they can either go to my website, and I apologize for the long website. It is SalesIGNITIONConsulting.biz,
Okay.
biz, not com. You can call me anytime, 510-518-0268. My calendar is open. I have 20-minute sales strategies. I just want to help whoever. I'm on LinkedIn, Sales Ignition Consulting, Marcella Villarreal with 2 R's on the Villarreal. So reach out to those clients. When you have a good conversation, back it up with an email. Go over what you discussed.
Yes.
It means a lot.
It does. It does.
It's about them, not about you.
Yeah, no, thank you. And I think the last thing I'd like to say is very often when you're so much into your business, it's really hard to take a step back and have a clear view on what it is you offer and the benefits that you offer. And having a third party come and look at this for you creates a whole new picture of what you have and how you can assist your target audience out there, which this in itself is very powerful. So I agree.
Don't have 700 emails. Don't leave those clients waiting.
Don't leave those clients waiting because you have just a small time lapse in order to have
and I do one-on-one, so we can talk strategy, we can talk negotiation, where are those gaps where they can feel more comfortable.
Right.
So that's what I'm here for.
Wonderful.
And you're there for the marketing to make it look pretty.
That's right. Sales and marketing work together, right?
We work together. See, we do work together.
Together.
I'll follow this lady anywhere. So
I know. Well, thank you so much, Marcella. It was wonderful to have you here, and everyone else. And I apologize for my throat, but I'm having so many allergies today. Springtime. But everyone, I really highly recommend that you get in touch with Marcella if you're experiencing challenges with your sales and also your positioning. And that comes also with brand positioning, because nowadays we have to reevaluate how we present ourselves. Things have changed, and I hear people telling me sometimes, well, it has always worked. Why would I change? Because if you don't change, you're going to die now. The environment in which we evolve is not the same anymore. The expectations of people are changing. Also, your clients now may be older and the new ones are coming in. So they are not expecting the same thing from you. You have to
evolve. You have to grow, and you have to be uncomfortable.
Yes, being uncomfortable.
You have to be uncomfortable. We all want comfort. I do too. I had to get myself uncomfortable to start a business.
So these are traits, and I think it's a mindset. It's also being able to develop a new perspective on what you're doing and how you can assist this new world. And those who can do it while utilizing the right tools are going to be really going ahead, moving ahead a lot faster than others and staying alive. So thank you again, everyone, for watching. I appreciate you coming back here. Please follow Marcella Villarreal on LinkedIn and talk to her. That doesn't cost a thing. Ask questions, because sometimes by asking a question, you're going to get an answer that's going to open up a whole new realm of possibilities and bring you leads that maybe you would have never had otherwise. So take that step. It's okay. She loves to speak with everyone, just like you saw. And so take advantage of that, because she's going to give you tips that you may not have had otherwise. So anyway, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Marcella, today.
I love talking to you.
Yeah. Don't forget also to subscribe to the channel. That helps me continue what I'm doing here. I would greatly appreciate it. And then share this video with your network. That also would be important. And I look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you. Take care, you guys. Take care of each other.
Yeah, that's right.